सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारंभं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् पुराणन्यायमीमांसा धर्मशास्त्राङ्गमिश्रिताः वेदाः स्थानानि विद्यानां धर्मस्य च चतुर्दश आयुर्वेदो धनुर्वेदो गान्धर्वश्चैव ते त्रयः अर्थशास्त्रं चतुर्थन्तु विद्याः अष्टादशैव ताः Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Namaste. I welcome everyone who is watching this video. This video is third in a series brought to you by INDICA Bhasha with the well-known Sanskritist Professor Radhavallabh Tripathi ji. This series is based on the Natya Shastra, and as I mentioned, this is the third in a series. The link to the previous two can be accessed from the description box of this video. With these few words, I would like to welcome Professor Tripathi to share his views on the third video. Pranam, Professor, welcome.
Namaste and a very, very warm good evening to all of you. Of course, it is warm here. And as Megji has informed you, I have delivered 2 lectures earlier in this series on Natya Shastra. In the first lecture, I have introduced Natya Shastra, the importance of Natya Shastra in the modern world, and I have given you a rough, brief outline of the whole Natya Shastra. Also, in the second lecture, I have explained the interrelationship between Veda and the Natya Shastra. Today's lecture, we will be taking up interrelationship between Natya Shastra and the Upanishads. We have seen that 4 elements were drawn from 4 respective Vedic Samhitas: Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samveda, and Atharvaveda, Pathya, Abhinaya, Geet, and Rasa. And Natya or theatre was created. And the symbolic, not only symbolic, but the realistic meaning of this whole akhyana of Natya Veda being created, I have explained. But there is an inherent intrinsic relationship between Upanishads and the Natya Shastra that we will be taking up for today's lecture. So Upanishads and Natya Shastra. The Upanishads give us an experience of unity amidst the whole diversity of this cosmos. We all understand this. Ekam Sat Advitiyam. One reality is there, that is Parabrahman, they say. And there is a reflection of this whole ideologue of Upanishads in the Natya Shastra. Because the Natya or theatre also envisages the Natya as envisaged by Bharat Muni, as proposed, the concept of Natya as proposed by Bharat Muni in his Natya Shastra, also tends to search a unity amidst the whole diversity of this world. So just as the whole cosmos is Vishranta, rest in Parabrahman, the whole cosmic world of theatre rests in one subtle thing, that is Rasa. And Rasa is equated with Parabrahman here. Rasa is the Samam Bonam of theatre or Natya, and it is equal to Brahman of the Upanishads. The Upanishads describe the dual process of one becoming many, and the manifold nature culminating into harmony and oneness. This is the dual process. So one becomes many, and then many through the process of dissolution. They dissolve in one. This is the Srishti Prakriya, or the whole concept of the whole cosmic idea, the whole idea of the cosmos in the Upanishadic ideology. This is in tune with the process of creation as described in the Nasadiya Sukta of Rig Veda, and that the whole idea of Srishti Vidya as given in the Nasadiya Sukta is reflected in the Upanishads, and somehow it is linked or connected to Natya Shastra's concept of the whole philosophy is there in the Natya Shastra. So unlike the Western theatre, Western realistic theatre, which doesn't always have to do anything with the philosophy or spiritual experience. Here, there is a connect to philosophy and spirituality, and I will come to this connection between spiritual experience and theater experience maybe in next lecture. But in Upanishads, this idea of one becoming many and many dissolving into one, this is reflected in Natya Shastra. So Ani Davatam Sodhaya Tadekam Nasadiya Sukta says. So there was one, that one was breathing in the whole darkness. Darkness was there in the beginning, nothing was there. And darkness was enveloped by darkness. And in this void, there was one being who was breathing on his own. Tat Ekam. So he was one, or that was one reality. You can't say whether it is Sakar or Nirakar. So it is something undescribable. Something was there which was stirring. And that there was a desire within that one reality to become many. So Upanishads take this idea as their springboard to build up the philosophy, and they say that there was one being in the beginning, ekam tad asit, and so akamayat ekoham bahusyama. There was a desire within that one being to become many. They say in Taittiriya and Brihadaranyaka, this idea occurs, so akamayat ekoham bahusyama. So kamas tadagre samvartatadi. In the same Nasadiya Sukta, the fourth mantra says that kama was there, and that kama, the desire to create and to become manifold, to expand, this is kama. So the whole concept of kama as creativity, to expand oneself, to become infinite, this is the idea which is taken in the Upanishads. And eventually they call this experience of infinity or to become infinite as bhuma. So if one is limited, then there is no joy or bliss. If one becomes unlimited, then there is a joy in it. So yovai bhuma tat sukham, nalpe sukham asti, as the Taittiriya and other Upanishads say. So their bhuma is infinity, and it's a charged field of immensity, of experience of immense anantyanubhuti is there. So this experience of immenseness, which is termed as bhuma in the Upanishads, that is taken up in the Natya Shastra tradition, in the tradition of our arts. This I have explained, that Upanishads also describe the inherent desire of this one being to become many. So akamayat ekom bahusyama. This line occurs in two Upanishads, and this twofold process of one becoming many and many merging into one brings out the complementarity in this cosmos. In Natya Shastra, Bharat Muni accepts this complementary nature of the manifold categories. Whatever category Bharat Muni envisages in Natya Shastra, I will come to the categories and how they are interlinked and how they are complementary to each other. So in this cosmos or in this universe, everything is complementary, stands in close relationship with the other. So it's a kind of network. So the idea of a network of various categories in the cosmos is taken up in theatric world by Bharat Muni, and whatever categories he defines, he says that they are linked together, they are interconnected, so that one doesn't manifest alone. So they are always interconnected. So this the philosophy and the idea of complementary nature of all the categories in this universe. This Nasadiya Sukta says that kamas tadagre samavartatadi manso reta pratham yadasit, and the whole so akamayata ekoham bahusyama. Kama was there within that real being, or within that universal being, whosoever was there in the beginning of this creation. So he had kama within him, and because of that kama, he desired to become manifold or many. And sa atmanam didha karot. This line also occurs in the Upanishads. He became twofold, and ekena pumana bhavat anyena stri, as they say, with by one part he became male, and by another part he became female. So and then the creation proceeded. So in this way also they explain the process of creation, but the idea to divide oneself and become many. This is the idea of creativity which lies within one that is born in the beginning of the creation, and that desire to become many is kama. And in this whole tradition of Natya Shastra, the creator, whether it is nata or actor, whether it is poet, kavi, or anybody who creates, any artist, he has kama within, and through that kama or desire to create, he expands himself. His limited consciousness is expanded, and then he reaches a field which is the field of immensity, which Upanishads say bhuma, the anantya bhumi, ananta bhumi, and that is the field of aesthetic experience or rasa experience. So here also Abhinav Gupta in his commentary on the very first chapter of Natya Shastra, he says that just as Prajapati creates this cosmos or world out of kama, this desire to create. Kama is not here in the limited sense of the meaning, or any sexual urge or desire for body desire. So it has a pervasive meaning, and it's a pervasive term in Vedic terminology, this kama. And the word kama itself occurs in Natya Shastra many times. It is kama which leads to creation of theatric activity, Bharat Muni also says. So Abhinav Gupta says, Prajapati riva kama janita jagata. For the poet, the kavi also, out of the kama within, out of the desire to create, he creates a theatric cosmos. He creates a world of theater. So this idea of creativity and the cosmic creativity is correlated to theatric creativity. In this way, they are linked together. So the philosophy that reality is one, but is described in manifold ways, is taken up from the Vedic Samhitas in the Upanishads. Ekam sad bahuda, ekam sad vipra bahuda vadanti. This line occurs in Rigveda and Atharveda, and the Upanishads build up a philosophy on the basis of such mantras. And the whole philosophy that there is one supreme being of Parabrahman, and from that supreme being the cosmic order proceeds, and how that proceeds, that they try to explain. So I will omit these several mantras from Rigveda, which explain the one satta. And this one satta is described in Upanishadic philosophy in detail. So there is a multitude of gods. So, and all gods are one. So this also the Vedic Samhitas say again and again. So ekam sad vipra bahuda vadanti, agni mamam matarishvana mahu. Rigveda says. So one supreme being is there, and he manifests in diverse forms, and he creates this cosmic world also, and the Upanishads also take this idea. So Chandogya Upanishad says that there was only one being in the beginning, and he desired to become many. Atmaika Veda Magra Asit Purusha Vidaha. Sonu Viksha Nanyadatmano Apashyat Sohamasmit Tyagre Vyaharat Tatoham Nama Abhavat. So there was only one Atman in the beginning, and he realized that I alone am here. Then he expanded himself into various names. So the concept of names and form that sprang, that comes over here. And again they say, Sa ekaki naiva reme, tasmad ekaki na ramate sa dithiya maichat. It is from Brihadaranyaka. So he was not enjoying himself because he was alone, because nobody enjoys ramate when he or she is alone. Therefore, he desired to become second or to expand himself. That is the idea. So one becoming many, and that many are the forms of that one and the same being. So there is only one reality throughout the whole creation. So this idea somehow gets developed, is developed by Bharat Muni and in his whole tradition. So the experience of unity, which the Upanishads, the experience of immenseness of this reality is termed as Bhuma. And that experience of Bhuma is bliss. And it is Ananda, they say. And from that Ananda, all beings come out. They live to reach it is back. They live to reach back that Ananda. It is a typo here. And they aspired in their lives to regain that Ananda. And ultimately, it should be ultimately, again a typo. They become one with that Ananda. So Anandadhyeva khalvimani bhutani jayante. It is Anandadhyeva. Anandadhyeva khalvimani bhutani jayante. Anandam prayantyavi samvishanti. It is from Taittiriya Upanishad. So from Ananda, all beings spring and they try to again reach back that Ananda. Anandam prayanti abhi samvishanti. And they dissolve their limited self into that Ananda to experience that immensity, that Bhuma. So this is the creative process, or this is the epistemology of the Upanishads, and that becomes the epistemology, or you can say Jnana Mimamsa of Natya Shastra tradition as well, because rasa is equated to Parabrahman. From that rasa, everything springs in the theatric creativity, and then everything dissolves into rasa. So nahi rasadhyev, nahi rasadrite kashchidartha pravartate. In the 6th chapter, Bharat Muni says, without rasa, nothing happens in the theatric world. No creativity springs forth without rasa. So actually, rasa theory, as they explained in the textbooks or in the school colleges, that somehow as a kind of later interpretation, and it's a very limited kind of interpretation. In Bharat Muni and his Natya Shastra, rasa percolates everything. It percolates the whole theatric universe. So there is rasa within the poet who creates. There is rasa within the actor who performs, and there is rasa within the audiences, the Saradaya, who realizes. So they all realize the same reality. The process at each level may be different. So this idea that one universal experience is there, one supreme consciousness is there, that lies dormant or inherent within everybody, and that stirs and expresses itself, that becomes manifold. So the Upanishads also name this Ananda as rasa. Now Upanishads also say that this Ananda is rasa. Raso vaisaha rasam yevayam labdva anandi bhavati. This line also occurs in Taittiriya Upanishad. And actually, the theorists of rasa, they quote Taittiriya Upanishad, that we have derived the whole concept of rasa from the Upanishads. Abhinavgupta cites Taittiriya Upanishad, and Pandit Raj Jagannath also cites Taittiriya Upanishad. So the commentators on Natya Shastra, if not Bharat Muni, they cite the Upanishads. So because rasa is equated to Ananda, rasa is equal to Ananda, Ananda equal to Rasanubhuti. This equation emerges in the conceptual framework of Upanishads also. So they name this Ananda as rasa, and for that Ananda, everything proceeds. The poet also writes out of that Ananda, which lies dormant within, and that is rasa within. He expresses this Ananda in a drama, in a play, in a poem, and that is performed. So the actor also expresses that Ananda, and it expands that way. Then it reaches the audiences. They also have, in the form of a samskara within their psyche, they have Ananda, but when they see a play being performed or a poem being recited or being read, that gets expressed. So this is kama. Because of kama, they like to enjoy theater. They like to go to theater performance. They like to read a poem. Because of that kama, the poet would like to write a poem. So this is the philosophy, and this comes from the Upanishads, or right from the Rig Veda, Nasdi Sukta, you can say. So this is the whole idea of the interconnectivity between the Upanishads and Natya Shastra tradition. So bliss lies in self-expansion and experience of immensity, as well as in the infinity. this ananda or bliss, it lies in self-expansion. So as long as you are bound by the kanchukas, by the bondages of this world, of this mortal world, you are in the limited self. And when those kanchukas, those bondages, those bandhanas, they dissolve by seeing a theater performance, by reading a poem, the experience of immensity emerges. And this is the process described in the creative process or the cosmic process in the Upanishads also. So this immensity and infinity is termed as Bhuma, as I have told, as I have explained. And Yovai Bhuma Tat Sukham Nalpe Sukham Asti. So the same idea that as long as you are in your limited Chaitanya, you are not happy, you are not blissful. And when you join that unlimited, when you reach the field of unlimited, that is Bhuma, you realize Ananda or bliss. And that field of Bhuma, Ananda lies there in that field. So the whole tradition of Natya Shastra speaks of Ananda. In Natya Shastra also, Rasa is Ananda. Rasa is equated to Ananda. Anandanubhuti is Rasanubhuti. Rasa is Ananda Rupa. And because of that Ananda, everybody is engaged in a creative activity. The poet or the performer or even the audiences. So Anandocharita Shakti Srajatyatmanam Atmana. This is the Shakti within, which creates the whole universe, which on its own, that Shakti creates itself and creates a cosmos and Anandanubhuti. This is the idea. This is from Abhinav Gupta or Shaiva Shastras. So as I explained, that there is a interconnectivity between the diverse categories which form the whole theatric world in Natya Shastra. So Bharat Muni says that there are 11 fundamental elements of Natya. In 6th chapter, 10th Karika, he says, Rasa Bhava Yavinaya Dharmi Vritti Pravrittaya Siddhi Swaras Tatha Dodyam Ganam Rangashya Sangraha. 11 elements are named. They form the whole theatric world. And they are interconnected in the theatric creativity. So you can't identify each one differently when the whole theatric world is created, or when the whole Anandanubhuti is there. You can't isolate them. You can't isolate one from the other. So they are all dissolved into one. And that is finally the Rasanubhuti or Anandanubhuti. So Rasa lies dormant within. From Rasa, Bhavas are expressed in, and according to Bhavas, Avinaya is there. And Dharmi, Vritti, Pravritti, Siddhi, Swar, Atodhya. Various elements of theater or Natya. There are 4 Vrittis, Bharti, Satvati, Kaishiki, Arbhati, 4 Pravrittis, Avanti, Dakshinatya, Panchali, Odramagdi, and 2 types of Siddhi, not Lokdharmi, 2 types of Dharmis, Lokdharmi and Natya Dharmi, 2 types of Siddhis, Devi and Manushi, 7 Swaras, musical notes, and percussions, Tat, Avnad, Ghan and Shushir, these percussions, drums, and musical system and theater building. So beginning from the subtlemost, which is Rasa, which is within, and which was within when the one supreme being created this whole universe. It was there within him, within that one being. And in the same way, there is one subtle thing stirring within the creator, the poet, that is Rasa. And from Rasa, Bhavas and all other things spring. So beginning from the subtlemost, Sukshmatam, we reach the gross elements. So it is this, in this order, we begin from the subtlemost and reach the whole cosmic world. Eventually, Ranga is theater building, the physical aspect, whole architecture of theater. So beginning from Rasa, we thus expand the whole theatric universe. This is theatric creativity or creation of Natya. And when it is dissolved within the spectator, he sees there is a stage, there are music, percussions, there are notations, Then there is Siddhi, the experience of success. And then for Pravrittis he recognizes, then he sees the Abhinaya, he realizes the Bhavas, and then he ultimately realizes Rasa, which is the experience of immensity within the Saradaya. So in this way, this twofold way of Natyanubhuti or creation of theatric universe, this is simply in tune with the creative process which the Upanishads describe and the whole philosophy. So eventually, rasa is the subtlemost thing, and without rasa, nothing is there. Just as in the Upanishads, without Brahman, nothing is there, and it is Brahman or one supreme being pervading everywhere. In this way, Bharat Muni also says, Nai rasadrite kashidartha pravartate, nothing proceeds in this theatric universe without rasa. And in the subtlemost form, it lies like a seed within, and that seed becomes a Mahavraksha. So this whole metaphor of Mahavraksha is also taken up in the 6th chapter. Yatha bijat bhaved vraksho vrakshat pushpam phalam yatha tatha moolam rasah sarve tebhyo bhava vyavasthita. When one being creates, rasa lies within him like a seed, and that seed um, grows and becomes a plant and a tree, and the flowers and fruits are there in the tree, and there is juice in the fruit, and again there is a seed in that fruit. So from rasa to rasa, just as from one seed a Mahavraksha becomes. In the Mahavraksha there are fruits, and there is again rasa in the fruits, and there is again a seed within one fruit, within each fruit. So this is the cyclic order. In the same way, in theatric creativity as well as in the cosmic creativity, this process is the same. So this is the interconnectivity between the Natya Shastra tradition and the Upanishads. And as Abhinav Gupta explains in his commentary on Natya Shastra, that there is only one samvit, one consciousness within the poet, Kavi, and that samvit expresses itself in the form of whole poetry or drama, and a performer or nata takes it up. And all this process is percolated by us, because that samvit, that consciousness within the psyche of the creator is rasa. So that rasa begins everything and everything ends in rasa. Saiva samvit parmarthato rasa. So this is the parmartha of Natya Shastra tradition, and this is the parmartha of the Upanishadic tradition also. There are detailed citations from the Upanishads here. They describe the concept of rasa so many times. What is rasa to what? Prana is the rasa of body, and what is the rasa of this earth? So they describe rasa in the sense of the subtlemost thing, which is the essence, which is the most essential form of everything. So rasa percolates in the whole process. So I won't go into the details of these citations from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, because it's a long chapter on rasa. And what is rasa in which thing? It explains in a metaphorical way also what is rasa in the body. And angiraso anganam hi rasa, prano va anganam rasa, prano hi va anganam rasa. So this prana or life is the rasa in the body. In this way, there is a rasa everywhere. Rasa percolates everywhere. And finally, there is the concept of vak. Vage vishwa bhuvanani jagge, as the Rig Veda says. So the Upanishads explain this concept of vaka, vak or speech. So from vak, which lies in the form of parachetna in the poet, this cosmos is created. And the same concept is applied over here. So I think I will stop here, because if we go on continuing, we will walk into this intricate field of the Vyakaran Darshana, and this is also connected to Natya Shastra, the Bhartrihari's philosophy of Vaka. It starts from the Rig Veda and it is taken up in detail in the Upanishads. And the whole aesthetic theories, they explain it and they take it up. So the universe is created out of the speech, which is in the form of a psyche within. And then it expresses into the form of Pashyanti, Madhyama, and Vaikhari. And Rigveda also says this, Chatvari Vak Parimita Padani, and Upanishads in detail explain the concept of Vak. That is taken up in the Natya Shastra tradition. So I stop here and thank you very much. I have tried to put the interconnectivity between the Natya Shastra tradition, the whole tradition of Natya Shastra and Upanishads, and how the epistemology and philosophical thinking of Upanishads have cast a deep impact on our whole aesthetic tradition. Thank you very much.
Dhanyavad. Thank you so much, Professor Tripathi, for sharing your views on how one can see the imprint of Upanishads in the Bharatiya aesthetic tradition represented primarily by the Natya Shastra. For all those listeners who heard Professor Tripathi speak, this video was the third in a series that he has delivered as part of a series on the Natya Shastra brought to you by INDICA Bhasha. We look forward to coming back very soon with his fourth installment in this regard. Once again, Professor Tripathi, I convey my thanks to you for your time and for sharing your expertise in this regard. Pranam.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.